front. Okay, switch.
Good morning, sir. The parade comprises of 17 armed men dressed in open order, ready and awaits the pleasure of your instructions, sir.
Fire, saturation,
sir.
Great! Order! Correct! Shoulder! Arms! Follow the cause! Correct! General salute! Freezing! Arms! Right! Shoulder! Arms! Right! General salute! Freezing! Arms! Right! Shoulder! Arms! Right! Order! Arms! Right! Shoulder! Arms! Right! Royal salute! Freezing! Arms! Right! Shoulder! Arms! Right! Order! Arms! Good morning, Your Honor. Guard of Honor in open order. Awaiting the pleasure of your inspection, Your Honor. me for inspecting the guard of honor, Your Honor. Guard of honor, royal salute, present arms. Parade, shoulder, arms.
We will now have the prayer by Reverend Marcia Tomlinson of the Charleston Wesleyan Holiness Church.
Good morning to everyone. Shall we look to the Lord in prayer? Our Father, gracious, wonderful, faithful God, we pause at the beginning of this session to say thank you. Thank you for the gift of life today and the fact that we are in our right minds and that you have blessed us with a great measure of health and strength so that we're able to be here. We thank you, Lord, that amidst all the challenges, obstacles, and disappointments in 2022, you have been faithful to us. And you have seen us through to this new year. To you we ascribe all the praise and thanks because we are here only because of your grace and mercy. We thank you, Holy Father, for men and women who have availed themselves to serve in the offices of government. And so we thank you for all our people here today. The psalmist in the 127th division of the Psalms remind us that unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stand guard in vain. So at this time, we recognize you as the architect and builder and the chief cornerstone of this house. May your leaders chosen subscribe to your precepts and principles and seek to build and carry out their work on the foundation of your word. For you remind us in Proverbs 14, verse 34, that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. We read in your holy word, Lord, that Daniel was taken into Babylonian captivity, and yet he was placed in the highest position in government, because the king saw an excellent spirit in him, and he wanted to suffer no loss in the kingdom. I pray that, like Daniel, there will be an excellent spirit in each leader, so that it becomes extremely difficult for anyone to find fault in them. I pray that the spirit of excellence will be seen in the decisions and the policies that are made, that they will be in the best interest of the nation and not for personal aggrandizement. Like Daniel, may your leaders walk in integrity. Holy Father, we read in your word that Joseph was taken to Egypt under unfavorable circumstances, but you were with him, and you showed him mercy and gave him favor because he walked with you and he honored you. Over time, the king of Egypt appointed him as second in command over all Egypt, and he declared that there was no one as wise and discerning as Joseph. I pray, Lord, that you will grant your leaders chosen wisdom and a discerning heart so that they will know the right decisions to make. Grant them wisdom as you gave to Solomon. Sometimes they may need to make tough decisions, but God of grace and God of glory, on thy leaders pour thy power, and grant them wisdom, and grant them courage for the facing of this hour. God of glory, God of wisdom, grant your leaders wisdom, grant them courage for the living of these days. I pray that like King Jehoshaphat, your leaders chosen would learn to seek your face and inquire from you the directions they are to take, not only in times of crises, but always. And when you would have spoken, grant obedient hearts to follow you, so that our people in turn will be led in the right paths, and that the land would experience fruitfulness and your blessings. We pray, God, that you would help your leaders chosen, that they would conduct themselves in an orderly and decent manner at all times in this house, as they make their presentations, debate and deliberate and negotiate. May they speak to and with and about each other with respect and bring you maximum honor and glory. We consecrate this place as holy unto you, and may your presence be here at all times, and may you be reverenced here. And finally, O Lord, we pray that you would strengthen our leaders in all areas of their lives. Bless them with excellent health. Strengthen them physically, intellectually, emotionally, and most of all, spiritually. Please protect and cover them and their families by extension under your blood. We commit them to your care, and we pray that as they make themselves available to you, you will use them to bring excellent leadership to this nation, always being mindful that they will give an account to you as to how they would have led. And so glorify yourself in and through them, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Tomlinson. Please be seated. Proclamation. St. Christopher and Nevis, Statutory Rules and Orders, number 1 of 2023. Proclamation dated the 12th day of January 2023, summoning and appointing a session of the Nevis Island Assembly by the Governor General of St. Christopher and Nevis. A proclamation signed by S.W. Tapley Seaton, Governor General. Whereas a general election of members of the Nevis Island Assembly was held on the 12th day of December 2022, and which therefore duly returned. And whereas it is provided by subsection 1 of section 46 of the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis, applied with modification by section 1041A, it is provided that each session of the Nevis Island Assembly shall be held at such place and shall commence at such time as the Governor General may by proclamation appoint. And whereas it is expedient that the Nevis Island Assembly should be summoned and the time and place for the first session therefore duly appointed. Now therefore, I, Sir Waymore Tapley Seaton, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Royal Victorian Order, King's Consul, Justice of the Peace, Doctor of Laws, Governor General of St. Christopher and Nevis, in exercise of the powers in me vested herein before, recited and all other powers me thereunto enabling, do by this my proclamation summon the Nevis Island Assembly and appoint Thursday, the 19th day of January, 2023 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon at the Nevis Island Assembly Chambers at Hamilton House in the town of Charlestown in the island of Nevis as the time and place at which the first session of the Nevis Island Assembly shall be held for the dispatch of public business. And all our officers and loving subjects in St. Christopher and Nevis and all others whom it may concern are required to take due notice hereof and to give their ready obedience accordingly. Given unto my hand and the public seal of St. Christopher and Nevis at Government House, Bastille, this 12th day of January 2023, in the first year of His Majesty's reign. God save the King. Election of President. Honorable members, I now invite you to make nomination for the President.
Madam Clerk, I rise to nominate Ms. Michelle Jean S. Slack as the President of this Honorable House.
Is there a seconder?
Madam Clerk, I rise to second the motion.
Is there any further nomination?
Madam Clerk, I beg that nomination cease.
There be no further nomination, I shall put the question. The question is that Michelle J. S. Slack serve as President of this Nevis Island Assembly for the session of the Nevis Island Assembly. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? I now invite the proposer and the seconder to fetch the President. Is this the President?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I now invite Michelle S. Slack to take the oath.
I, Michelle Jan Sari Slack, do solemnly and sincerely declare that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law.
Thank you.
You may all be seated.
We will now have the oaths or affirmation of allegiance by other members of the Nevis Island Assembly. I now invite Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, Premier-elected representative for Nevis 2.
I, Mark Anthony Graham Brantley, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
I now invite Eric Rohan Evelyn, Deputy Premier, elected representative for Nevis 3.
I, Eric Rohan Evelyn, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
I now invite Spencer Rudolph Brand, Minister, elected representative for Nevis 1.
I, Spencer Rudolph Brand, do swear that I will faithfully be a true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. This one? Okay. Sorry, this stuff.
I now invite Youthon Troy Labert, Senator and Minister, to take his oath.
I, Youthant Troy Joval Tajida Library, do affirm that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. Change this.
I now invite Merville Janelle Nisbet, Senator and Minister.
I, Merville Janelle Nisbet, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
I now invite Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, elected representative for Nevis 4.
Deborah Daniel Hodge, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
I now invite Cleon Tara Stapleton Simmons, elected representative for Nevis 5.
I, Cleon Tara Stapleton Simmons, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Announcements by the President.
Today, ladies and gentlemen of this honorable House, I am honored to have received your vote of confidence by way of your nomination and election to serve as President of this Assembly, a role characterized by seriousness and immense responsibility. I intend to make further remarks in this respect, but will reserve these remarks to be given on the adjournment. In accordance with the right established pursuant to Section 16 of the National Assembly Elections Act, the Deputy Governor General will address the Assembly. I now suspend this honorable House in order to meet the Deputy Governor General. This House stands suspended.
Please stand for the arrival of the Prime Minister. Please be seated.
invite the Deputy Governor General to deliver the throne speech. Please.
Honorable President, honorable members of the Nevis Island Assembly, honorable Prime Minister and members of the Federal Parliament, members of the diplomatic and business community, citizens and residents, a pleasant good morning to all. My government welcomes all to this, the first sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly since the Nevis Island elections, which were held on 12 December 2022. Today is indeed a proud moment in our nation's history. It was 5 years ago you voted in overwhelming numbers and elected the Concerned Citizens Movement to serve the island of Nevis. Over the years, your government has always sought to live up to its ethos of putting our people first. Our accomplishments, despite considerable odds, have been many. It is a record of which we are proud, as it has benefited the people of our beloved Nevis significantly. We are truly humbled and grateful for the trust and confidence reposed in us as we seek to propel this, our beloved island, through its next chapter of development. The commencement of this new parliamentary term signals a period of renewed hope and optimism for our island. I wish to welcome the new members of Parliament and salute the returning members as well. Your presence in this Parliament is a clear demonstration of your willingness to devote the time and energy to work in a constructive way to further the interest of the people of Nevis. Elections are now behind us. Now is a time for governing. It's a time for us to work together, aspire together, and prosper together. Let us all move forward. Let us build Nevis together. We are forever mindful that democracy is the rule by the majority, but not at the expense of the minority. Your government therefore pledges to be a government for all, regardless of their nationality, race, creed, or political persuasion. By our deeds and words, we will manifest that our island is one Nevis under God. In the days, weeks, and months ahead, we will work hand in hand with you, engaging you at every step of the way. Your government is under no illusion that the task at hand will be easy. We are certain that our journey of creating a better and greater Nevis will be rife with obstacles and hindrances. But we are not in fear of the future, because even though our obstacles might be great, our resolve is much greater. Our hindrances might be large, but our hearts are much larger. Our potential is far greater than our problems, and our collective abilities and talents will always surpass our challenges. It is only through a partnership with you, the people, that these talents, abilities, and potential can be harnessed and utilized for the good of Nevis. Nevisians are a great people. We are confident that our people have the potential and capacity to be the best at whatever they desire, once provided the opportunity, assistance, guidance, and direction. They can find their niche and excel. Creating opportunities for all to excel will be the hallmark of my government's performance during this new parliamentary term. Our policies and programs will therefore be people-centered and people-focused, holding true to the mantra of your CCM-led government that people matter most. We pledge to engage, we pledge to consult, and we pledge to listen. Over the next 5 years, my government affirms its commitment to strengthen partnership with you, the citizens and the residents of Nevis. A partnership for prosperity, a partnership where everyone becomes their brother's keeper and their sister's helper. Partnership where peace and tranquility abound. With this partnership, we can and must create a better Nevis where all feel safe and secure, where our education, health, and social systems are the envy of our neighbors, where small businesses, entrepreneurs, and investors have confidence in our economic climate, and most importantly, we can and must create a Nevis where the rule of law is paramount. This throne speech being delivered today is meant to be a broad policy prescription which shall drive the annual program and policies of my administration over the next 5 years. Each annual budget address will therefore outline the specific and detailed implementation of those policies and programs. The new realignment of ministerial portfolios was a clear indication of the need to develop and forge synergies for the cohesive functioning of government. The realignment of the Department of Social Services and Community Development with the Ministry of Health forms part of our strategic objective at addressing the wholesome health and social needs of our people. Agriculture, which traditionally was the fundamental base of our economy, has lost its way culturally. Therefore, the merging of the Department of Culture and the Ministry of Agriculture provides an excellent opportunity for the advancement and transformation of this traditional sector to be showcased at all our cultural presentations. The realignment of the Department of Youth and Sports with our education system was a strategic move to respond to the needs of our youth. Too often there's the cry that our education system has failed our youths. This therefore provides an excellent opportunity to introduce our students to youth intervention programs at a very early age. programs targeting our at-risk youth can now be introduced even while they're attending school, thus allowing us the opportunity to invest significantly in programs to offer our disaffected youth alternative pathways. The continued implementation of support and mentoring systems after they have formally left school can only persuade our youth to continue along the right career path and away from antisocial behavior. In this new parliamentary term, my government pledges to build a brand new Nevis through advances in agriculture, improvement in healthcare and education, job creation, housing, harnessing our energy needs, advancing our security apparatus, and continuing to build out the physical infrastructure of Nevis. These pillars are key to the growth and development of our economy over the medium term. We pledge to create a social and economic order that will enable the most vulnerable among us to enjoy a better life and reap the promise of our island. Consistent with the foregoing, the following strategic objectives will guide our efforts to support robust and inclusive growth and build resilience. Incentivizing the creation of sustainable jobs. Boosting our competitiveness and diversifying the economic base. Boosting investment in health to improve healthcare delivery and build resilience to health crises. Accelerating human capital development through investment in our education infrastructure, infusing ICT, and fostering skills development through our technological, vocational enhancement training program. Accelerating the infusion of ICT technology into the private sector so as to enhance the delivery of service and raise our ranking in the ease of doing business index. Increasing investment in agriculture and the light manufacturing sector to boost food and nutrition security and to reduce our huge import bills. Accelerating the rehabilitation and upgrade of our road network and other physical infrastructure. Continued efforts to build resilience against external shocks, including strengthening structural, financial, and post-disaster resilience. Preserving and expanding as necessary social safety nets to protect and empower our most vulnerable citizens. Fast-tracking our transition to renewable energy through the harnessing of the much-anticipated geothermal energy development. Building a new Nevis, investing for social economic transformation. My government's efficient management of the COVID-19 crisis has sparked confidence in the economy, reflected in the uptick in economic activity. Government finances are beginning to show gradual signs of improvement, although we are yet to reach our pre-COVID-19 performance. Despite the significant progress made in restoring macroeconomic stability, we are aware that many of our citizens and small businesses continue to face hardships, having been battered by the strong and sustained winds of the pandemic. Our job numbers have been encouraging, showing a significant level of recovery post-COVID. Social Security statistics as of July 2022 showed that for the period July 2021 to July 2022, jobs in Nevis increased by 6.4%. Some 7.1% of the workforce held multiple jobs, an increase of a whopping 54.6% over 2021. Of note is that at December 2020, when the island was closed due to COVID, total jobs in Nevis stood at 4,600. As of July 2022, the total jobs stood at 5,600, an increase of 1,000 jobs, or 21.7%. While there is still work to be done, the economic recovery has thus far been commendable. Fiscal policy initiatives. The fiscal realities facing my government include a reduction in direct tax revenues as a result of the slow economic recovery, the need for continued social spending associated with managing the post-COVID-19 recovery, the need for greater capital investment to stimulate economic activity, create jobs, and advance our island's development agenda, along with the need to meet existing fixed obligations, including salaries, wages, pensions, and debt servicing. In this context, adopting the correct fiscal policy stance is critically important, and for ensuring long-term fiscal and debt sustainability. Prudent fiscal management will continue to be of paramount importance to ensure that scarce resources are properly targeted and allocated to their best and most efficient use. My government's policy throughout this parliamentary term will primarily be to take steps to improve spending efficiencies while incentivizing foreign direct investment cash flows into our economy. Revenue generation and investment initiatives. In the area of revenue generation, we will pursue opportunities to boost growth in our major non-tax revenues. We pledge to commit more resources to our financial services sector, as there is tremendous potential for growth in revenue generated by this sector. We will work with the registered agents to develop an investment package to encourage the redomiciliation of financial services and entities from our jurisdictions. We intend to pursue an aggressive marketing agenda, combining the resources of government with that of registered agents. It is our intention to commit resources and actively participate in at least 3 international marketing initiatives, road shows each year, in which Nevis will see itself as part sponsor of these international marketing events. The joint sponsoring of these events gave us the opportunity to host private Nevis events as part of the schedule so that we can make a direct sales pitch on the potential investors attending these events. Our legislative agenda will include various amendments to our financial services products, legislation, especially as international banking and trust legislation, to keep us on the cutting edge of competitiveness and align us with the requirements of the various international financial services regulatory agencies. In addition, we commit to having an Invest Nevis office located at Wall Street, New York. This will provide our destination with a greater reach and expose it in the investment capital of the world. Our effort will be geared at investment in financial services, tourism, and the real estate sectors. Energy, sustainability, and security. During this new parliamentary term, our efforts will be geared heavily towards energy sustainability and security. We are aware that our current reliance on fossil fuels to meet our energy needs is unsustainable for the long term. Fossil fuels emit greenhouse gases when burned, which are a major contributor to climate change. To this end, our attention must be turned to alternative energy sources as we seek to build a new, clean, and green economy over the long term. Sustainable energy has tremendous economic impact. There are thousands of new green jobs being created as the world transitions from fossil fuels to clean energy sources. Nevis must now position itself to take pride of place among these economies. I am happy to report that the Caribbean Development Bank has approved US $17 million for the drilling phase of the geothermal project. The drilling of the 3 production and 2 injection wells will commence in June 2023. This loan is a watershed moment in our geothermal project. After years of pursuing geothermal energy, we can now proclaim with a high degree of certainty that our geothermal ambition is within reach. No longer will global conflicts and fluctuating oil prices determine the price of our energy supply to our people. There can be no question that geothermal energy will represent our energy independence and energy security. Geothermal energy, when harnessed, will free our island home of fossil fuels and make Nevis the greenest place on planet Earth. It will create new industries based on hydrogen and allow us to manufacture fertilizer from ammonia. It will also permit Nevis to export energy to our sister island, St. Kitts, and other neighboring islands. At the proposed 9 cents per kilowatt hour, Nevis promises to have the cheapest and cleanest electricity in the region, paving the way for significant savings for our people and the transition to electric cars and scooters as environmentally friendly means of transport. Access to a cleaner and cheaper source of energy is paramount for the economic advancement of our people. We are fully aware that escalation in the price of oil on the world market, especially as occurred during the first fiscal year, created tremendous hardship on our citizens as you struggled to meet payments for your electricity bill on a monthly basis. It made it extremely difficult for you to plan your household budget, as your escalating monthly electricity bills was driven not by your own consumption, but by the action of oil producers and global conflicts factors. Factors totally outside of our control. Even as you took steps to reduce your own electricity consumption, it had very little effect on reducing your monthly electricity bill. We heard you cry, and against this backdrop, and true to our mantra of people matter most, my cabinet took the decision to remove the surcharge from the electricity bill of domestic consumers. This decision was met with overwhelming support from you and the consumers. It provided huge relief as it removed the monthly fluctuations and stabilized your monthly electricity bill, thereby giving you greater control over the amount you expend for electricity on a monthly basis. We continue to urge you to be conservative in your electricity consumption, thereby controlling your monthly electricity payment. Investing in our people. We have heard the cry of the non-established NE workers who have complained for decades that they contribute long and hard for government in the most difficult conditions, sometimes in excess of 30 years, and then leave empty-handed on retirement. Your government has responded to this cry and has introduced a retirement package for non-established workers. This package is intended to bring great relief and comfort to any workers in their retirement years. This is a significant achievement as we continue to put people at the center of our development. For our public servants, I am proud that your government has delivered the largest pay increase in the history of Nevis at 15% payable in tranches of 5% per year over 3 years. We have already paid 10%, and a further 5% will be paid on January 1st, 2024. Your government has taken its commitment to women and youth seriously. Our record is a proud one. Since gaining government in June 1992, we have seen 4 women holding ministerial or parliamentary positions within a CCM-led party and government. Following in that rich tradition, this throne speech, as was the last one, is again being read today by a female Deputy Governor General. This government has not just talked about women empowerment. We have done it and will continue to do so with various appointments during this new parliamentary term. My government recognizes the contribution that our sisters and brothers from our Caribbean neighbors have made to the development of Nevis. We continue to welcome non-nationals to aid in our development as we are a government of inclusion. We will continue to advocate for a managed migration approach in which non-nationals can join our labor force as our development needs dictate. We are fully aware that many of our citizens reside in Caribbean countries and elsewhere, and we expect them to be able to live comfortably and have their rights respected. These principles will serve as a guide as your government commits to implementing programs whereby children of non-nationals who are legally residing in Nevis will pay the same rates for school and other educational opportunities as Nevisian students. Caribbean nationals who are legally resident in Nevis will be able to buy real estate without having to pay the 10% alien land holding license fee. We will lobby the federal parliament to pass legislation to reduce the time limit required for a non-national to be eligible for citizenship. Additionally, we will seek to reduce the work permit and annual residency fee paid by non-nationals who are not members of the legal, medical, accounting, engineering, land surveying, management, or actuarial professions. Providing tutoring in English for 12 months for non-nationals legally migrating to Nevis from the Dominican Republic, to allow for better assimilation into the local community, especially for children entering our school system. Ensure that we have bilingual personnel in the public service so as to better aid the delivery of government services to our non-English speaking residents. Most importantly, we encourage all non-nationals living in Nevis illegally to legalize their status. Law and order. On the issue of crime, we have never relented in seeking to tackle the social problem. My government has always maintained that crime is a social problem that requires all of society response. We are delighted that through a variety of initiatives and working with the federal government, we have dramatically reduced violent crime by 15% on our beloved island of Nevis. Our people now move about far more freely and safely than before. These initiatives and interventions include the introduction of the Peace Program, growth in jobs and employment opportunities, substantial investment in technology, such as CCTV, excellent work of the police and the army based on Nevis, but most importantly, a change in attitude as our people recognize the value in living together in peace. The innovative feature of our crime-fighting effort has been our development of technology such as CCTV along our Island Main Road and in Charlestown. This initiative is supported with a sophisticated CCTV command center which is manned 24 hours each day. Our security forces now have another critical tool to assist in the fight against crime. My government is also pleased to advise that we are in advanced talks to establish a Coast Guard and military base on Nevis for the first time in our history. This is a clear indication that we are committed to make available the necessary resources to eradicate or drastically reduce criminal activities within our federation. I wish to salute the officers and leadership of our Police High Command at the Nevis Division, as well as contingent of the Army based on Nevis, who assist with patrols. I also commend the leadership and staff at CCTV Command Center who continue to work diligently to provide support to our security forces. I also wish to thank the Ministry of National Security on St. Kitts for its continued support of security efforts across the Federation and especially here on Nevis. Most importantly, I thank the people of Nevis, especially our younger people, for accepting that crime doesn't pay and that together we can forge a better Nevis where peace abounds. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to highlight, tourism. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to highlight the critical role tourism plays in our economy. Furthermore, it signals the need for greater diversification, collaboration, and partnership in the industry to ensure that we build in a better and more sustainable manner. Even though the pandemic may have passed, the lingering effect is causing a very slow rebound of activities in this sector. We, however, anticipate that it will take another 2 years before we can return to the level of activity enjoyed in the sector prior to the pandemic. Our efforts must now be geared at building distribution awareness, destination awareness, Our efforts must now be geared at building destination awareness. And as such, we will embark on massive post-COVID market effort in both our traditional and emerging markets. We will expand our reach in the filming industry, building on the gains we have made with the introduction of MSR Media in 2021 as a means of attracting visitors to Nevis. We are grateful for the financing provided by the Taiwanese government, which enabled us to deliver the beautiful Malcolm Gishad Recreational Park. Realizing the vision of the late, great Malcolm Gishad, I am happy to report that we have received further funding from the Taiwanese government to pursue additional development at the lower end of Pinny's Beach, all in the effort to enhance the ambience in the area and raise the value of our tourism product offering. Work on this phase of the project has already commenced. We are aware that the Pinny's Beach area, which is a major hub or tourist activity, is now fully saturated with high-end restaurants and beach bars. We are elated that locals have taken the opportunity to benefit from the sector through the operations of these entities. Having witnessed what the Pinny's Beach experience has done for our tourist market, your government, in very short order, will seek to promote similar development at the Herbert Beach and the Fort Ashby Beach sites. The Orly Beach water taxi pier has become the tourist gateway in Nevis. We saw the wisdom in investing in an upgraded facility for our water taxi operators. This investment by the government has allowed the 100% Nevisian-owned water taxi business to flourish and has revolutionized travel between Nevis and St. Kitts. During this new parliamentary term, work will continue on the reconstruction of the reception and office area, landscaping facilities, and the acquisition of surrounding lands for construction of shops and parking facilities. We are committed to improving and increasing the number of hotel rooms on island. We will collaborate with the new owners to redevelop the Nisbet Plantation into a world-class resort facility and expedite development of 2 resort facilities at Pinny's estate. The preferred brands being sought are luxury brands such as Six Senses, Auberge, One and Only, Rosewood, and Aman. This will ensure that Nevis remains firmly fixed in the luxury market in which we cater, to which we cater, sorry. Other incentives include incentivizing the development of the yachtsman sector by supporting the construction of the marina at Cades Bay. This will ensure that our island gains access to the lucrative and growing yachting market. The development of the marina will also serve to improve the quality of life of our people by creating jobs, anchoring real estate values, providing active and passive recreation, while generating income in various forms. We will leverage the government's ownership of former Rest Haven property to develop a high-end luxurious facility consisting of duty-free shops, restaurants, entertainment and commercial spaces, along with berthing facility to accommodate small and medium-sized yachts with all attended services. We further commit to extending the airport runway to accommodate most private jets, as well as regional jets used by American Airlines and other U.S. carriers. This will transform the Vance Amory International Airport into a first-class private jet and regional airport facility with accompanying services for elite and luxury travelers. We commit to work to attract high-net-worth individuals and companies in the private jet industry who are looking for convenient, dependable, safe, and efficient private jet travel by providing hangar space, adequate parking, fuel, maintenance, and a first-rate FBO, thus positioning Nevis to accept all regional carriers, scheduled and charter services from the U.S. mainland, following on the model of neighboring Anguilla and Dominica. We will continue, advances in agriculture. We will continue to exercise fertilizers, fencing, and land preparation for our crop farmers. We will continue to promote and advance shade house technology as a means of increasing food production. In the area of poultry production, we will now expeditiously move to advance our efforts to establishing a poultry industry in Nevis so as to enable the island to become self-sufficient in chicken production. The NIA will manage the processing facility, and poultry farmers will bring their birds to the facility for processing, operating in a similar manner as the government abattoir. I am happy to report that the Ministry of Agriculture has already sourced a containerized poultry production plant, which would arrive on island during the first quarter of this year. This plant, which cost approximately $260,000 US, has the capacity to process 700 to 800 birds per hour. The ministry has also identified 60 acres of land at Webb's Estate, which will be subdivided and made available to locals who are interested in pursuing the rearing of birds. Efforts will also be made to encourage the development of hatchery on Nevis. This is important as the future of poultry industry relies heavily on the availability of small chicks to replenish the stock of birds. Having the ability to provide our own replacement birds on a regular basis will greatly add to the sustainability of this project. Other initiatives include securing export markets for high-level seafood, such as conchs, lobster, and other fish variety. We will explore the possibilities of securing export market in the neighboring French territories, as well as the Taiwanese market, to export our agro-processed foods, particularly Nevis hot sauce and rum. We will provide incentives for farmers to grow high-value crops like coconuts and avocados, and continue to develop the 35-acre fruit orchard at Indian Castle as a model. Healthcare and environment. My government was forced to confront the first global pandemic in 100 years when COVID-19 pandemic erupted in March of 2020. No other government in the history of Nevis has ever had to confront such a calamity. We committed early to do all in our power to keep our people safe, to keep our public servants paid in full and on time, and to innovate and find ways and means to combat the effect of the pandemic on the fragile economy. The pandemic tested our mettle, but with God's grace and guidance, we withstood the worst of times and emerged with the best record of COVID management in the region, with the lowest deaths, lowest hospitalization rate, and among the highest vaccination rates. Critical to improving healthcare delivery and building resilience in the sector is sustainable financing. We are aware that healthcare-related costs are becoming prohibitive to our people gaining access to the highest level of healthcare, especially those who are not fortunate to have their own private health insurance policy. In this regard, pursuing the National Health Insurance Scheme is of paramount importance. Notwithstanding the delays associated with the introduction of this scheme, my government remains committed to working closely with the federal government to pursue the introduction of this initiative to improve health care delivery and affordability. We will continue to provide health care assistance as required, utilizing resources from our annual budget until this scheme is fully implemented. We will continue to invest in our physical health infrastructure by completing work on the new hospital diagnosis wing. Coupled with this will be further investment in specialized diagnostic equipment and training of our nurses and our medical staff. Our long-term goal is to ensure that the array of services available at our primary care facilities, the Alexandra Hospital and health centers, are on par with that provided externally, thus ensuring that availability to quality health care is within the reach of all citizens and residents of Nevis. My government is committed to the protection of the natural environment in Nevis. To this end, we will continue our efforts at banning single-use plastic and styrofoam, providing fiscal incentives to encourage businesses to switch to biodegradable alternatives, reducing import duties on electric-powered scooters and vehicles to incentivize residents to invest in such vehicles, investing in additional garbage trucks and other heavy equipment to be used at the landfill, commissioning a low-emission incinerator at the landfill, initiating regular land-wide recycling program for derelict vehicles and white goods, acquisition of a wood chipper to be placed at the solid waste site to convert plant materials into plant mulch for resale, and working with the water bottling companies to seek to repurpose or reuse plastic bottles. Education and health resource development. Education and human resource development. My government recognizes that the construction of the Charlestown Sixth Form College has been transformational for Nevis. To take tertiary education to the next level, we shall now invest in a full-fledged community college, which we purpose to name after our national hero, the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Simeon Daniel, once the family so allows. The Sir Simeon Daniel Community Center will allow Nevisians to access opportunities from the University Open Campus and take education on the island to the next level. The infusion of technology in the delivery of education will take priority over this new parliamentary term. During the period of the pandemic, we introduced a blended approach which saw students accessing both online and in-person sessions. We provided tablets to students who needed them and internet access for free to homes that had none. This program will be further rolled out over the medium term and will see students being able to access their assignments online and return completed work online, thus improving the delivery of education to our students. Our pursuit for technical vocational certification will be heightened over the medium term. The Technical Vocational Education Training Center in Gingerland is already completed, and we shall soon construct a larger center in Charlestown. We have invested in the education and training of a number of technical instructors in a variety of areas, all of whom shall be completing their training and returning to Nevis in the very short term. The goal of my government is to ensure that by December 31, 2024, all our skilled persons who have been practicing their craft over the years, and especially our youths, are certified in their relevant field and can publicly display their certificates. This will level the playing field in the local job market and put our people on a competitive path and on par with their counterparts from the region who are on island, having been awarded a CARICOM skilled certificate in their native country. We will continue to partner with allied agencies and interested parties, such as Gulf Insurance, for sponsoring our annual Interprimary Athletics Championship, and the Winsong Foundation, which graciously donated school buses, along with 250 tablets for our students, laptop for teachers, and music equipment for our Nevis Cultural Development Foundation. These entities have all contributed generously over the years to the delivery of education, and we encourage others to follow their lead. Other initiatives include extending financial assistance to include master's and advanced degrees in critical and specialized fields, especially in the area of health, energy development, and education, establishing a music academy along with a state-of-the-art recording studio to allow our youths to develop their musical talents and recording skills. Continue to assist with the paying of all CXA examination fees for students of needy parents, thereby ensuring that financial constraints do not prevent our children from reaching their full educational potential. Providing free CSEC classes to adults who want to improve their academic performance. We will continue the regular monitoring of children from age 6 to 15 in all schools to detect any learning difficulties or special needs and introduce intervention programs to ensure that such children receive a full and meaningful education. We will seek to facilitate the construction of a new community college to separate the Nevis Sixth Form from the Charleston Secondary School, thus providing large-scale tertiary educational opportunities for our people. The construction sector. My government recognizes that the construction sector is a critical part of the Nevis economy and its role in the socio-economic development of our island. Your government commits to continuing to stimulate activities in this sector through a variety of programs and initiatives. We commit to extending the program for customs duty exemption and related concessions to those building first-time homes, extending similar concessions to those persons constructing commercial building spaces, and reducing the 10% alien land holding license fee on the purchase of existing buildings, whether residential or commercial, to 5%. The concessions offered under the First-Time Home Owners Program is an economic boost to fast-track and convert approved plans into active construction sites, thereby creating employment in this sector. My administration will seek to restructure this program in the coming years, as we are noticing persons continuing year after year to seek concession on the construction of the said property, some in excess of 5 years after initial concessions were granted. This defies the intention of the program, which is meant to be a short-term economic stimulus to boost construction. Therefore, going forward, all approved applicants under the program will be enrolled for an initial period of 24 months, as it is expected that construction of any home on Nevis can be fully completed within a 24-month period. A further assessment will be made at the end of the initial period to determine the need for further extension of concession. All persons enrolled in the program prior to January 1, 2022 will be given a period of 12 months to December 31st, 2023 to complete construction and exit the program. Our COVID relief construction stimulus program, which was also introduced to boost employment in the construction in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic through renovation and remodeling of existing homes, will be phased out during this current year. Persons already enrolled in the program will be given a 6-month period to June 30th, 2023 to complete their construction work. Physical infrastructure build-out. We have seen a transformation of our road network throughout the island. In every instance, our road development program have sought to enhance the way of life and physical surrounding of all these communities. We must now seek to open up road network in new and emerging communities to provide not only the residential development, but for commercial development expansion as well. The opening up of the road network from Long Point to Indian Castle via the southwest belt of the island will be given priority during this new parliamentary term. This will serve to spur development on the land space in that area, thus providing a boost to the economy of Nevis. The infrastructural costs associated with this venture, namely the provision of road network, water and electricity installation, will be costly. Government ought not to bear this cost alone, as property owners will undoubtedly benefit tremendously from the natural increases in property values once infrastructure is provided. Therefore, as a cost recovery option, my government will seek to institute an infrastructural development levy on the sale and development of all lands in this area, thereby providing government the opportunity to recover some of the funds expended to provide infrastructure in this area. We are aware that our industrial zone at Long Point, low ground, is fully saturated with manufacturing entities, and there is still a growing need for additional industrial spaces for new entities. In this regard, my administration will work aggressively to identify additional land spaces in the low ground area within the vicinity of the Long Point port, with necessary infrastructure to provide for the expansion of our industrial and manufacturing zones. Our water storage and distillation system is now on par, and in some cases exceed that of many of our neighbors. We have created 3,030,000 imperial gallons of additional water storage, installed a treatment plant at Hamilton, which added 216,000 imperial gallons of water per day to water supply, upgraded the water distribution mains throughout the length and breadth of Nevis. This has reduced water outages and disruptions to a minimum. Over the medium term, we will take steps to identify and harvest additional water supply through the traditional means, and will also seek to explore the possibility of desalination as an option to meet the growing needs of our people. In housing, we have witnessed a quiet revolution. Our housing program has transformed the landscape of Nevis, affording scores of young people, and especially single mothers, an opportunity to own their own home. This revolution will continue in earnest in this new term. Given the scarcity of government-owned lands available for development of housing, your government will embark upon significant land acquisition at Garner's Estate, Herbert's Beach, and Orley, and is currently finalizing a land swap to permit the people of Barnscott the opportunity to expand their village. Conclusion. Today, I have sought to set out the broad policy initiatives of my government, which are intended to help us build a new Nevis and ensure socio-economic transformation. In a few weeks, my government will be presenting its budget for this fiscal year, which will clearly set out the plans and programs for the medium term, tailored to provide opportunities for all our citizens and residents. I again commit to you that the Nevis we continue to build will be a Nevis for all. It will be a Nevis which will undeniably become a shining beacon on the hill for economic prosperity, good governance, and transparency. I ask that as we build our Nevis together, that we hold hands and continue to invoke God's blessings, protection, and guidance upon us all. My government also, may God also continue to grant us wisdom. It is through wisdom that we will manage, and through wisdom we will make the right decisions to move Nevis forward. The future is uncertain, and the challenges are many. However, my government is confident that it has the resources at hand to lead Nevis in the right direction and to achieve the goals that it has set for our people. This is a government that is open and ready and willing to partner with civil society and the private sector to ensure that the task which the people of Nevis have entrusted to us will be accomplished. May God bless us all and prosper our efforts to provide good governance and greater opportunity for all. Thank you.
Arrival of the President.
You may be seated. This House now resumes.
Adjournment.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful that I am able to say to you, good morning. I earlier referenced my intention to address this Honorable House substantively on the adjournment. I do not intend to detain you inordinately, but I will do so now. Before I get into my brief remarks, I wish to recognize the presence of the members of the National Assembly, the Honorable Speaker, Ms. Lanine Blanchett, Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Latoya Jones, and of course we wish to recognize the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, as well as the other members and ministers of Cabinet, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, the Deputy Prime Minister, other ministers, including the Honorable Garth Wilkin, the Honorable Conris Maynard, the Honorable Samuel Doggins, the Honorable Dr. Joy L. Clark, who I thought I saw earlier, the Honorable Iseline Phillip, Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Marcus Natter, and His Excellency Leon Natter Nelson. That you have journeyed across the Narrows for this sitting is noted and appreciated, and is an indication of the necessary and apparent cooperation of the honorable members of Parliament of our sister islands, and we thank you for being here. Honorable members of this assembly, my loved ones and other well-wishers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, those present and those listening via various media platforms, good morning. By the steady hand of God, we were able to be present here today to occasion the opening of this session of the Nevis Island Assembly in the year 2023. To him, our God, be all the glory, through whom and by whom all things are possible. We are grateful. I am grateful. Honorable members of this assembly, I reiterate my sincerest thankfulness to you for considering me and for my election to the role of President of this House. It is an honor to be able to sit here in these halls with men and women of high esteem and serve my country in a capacity as significant as this. Lawmaking is serious business. My former lecturer, Dr. Maria Muzmuti, who is the Executive Director of the Center for European Constitutional Law and Associate Research Fellow of the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, said this in relation to the drafting and implementation of legislation. I highlight this in a broader context today to include the parliamentary debate proceedings, which is an integral part of the lawmaking process and which takes place in this Honorable House from time to time. It is serious business. And my role here is to ensure that the rules which govern these proceedings, as set out in the National Assembly Elections Act and the scheduled standing orders, are observed so that order, respect for each other, and the due seriousness which ought to attend the matters we are dealing with here are maintained. To this end, and consistent with my own values, of which you who nominated and elected me to serve here are aware, and consistent with the provisions of the governing legislation, I am prepared to exercise the powers conferred on the President of this Assembly in every situation that warrants it, equally, impartially, on this side and that side, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. I encourage all members to periodically study the legislation and standing orders, as I will do, and to be mindful of the rules set out therein, the overarching principle being that we conduct ourselves in a fit and proper manner. And within this space, always speaking and behaving in a manner befitting of men and women who are called honorable. Opportunity for the traditional light banter and repartee are understood. They make lengthy sittings more bearable. And provided we are respectful, there should be no issue. With that being said, I anticipate that our future sittings will be done with decency, that our submissions will be substantive submissions and not personal attacks, and that we would maintain a standard of respect for each other and carry out our various roles according to the governing legislation and reflective of our own personal standards. Before concluding, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, I must reference the Honorable Farrell Smithen, who served in this role for several years, who influenced many youth parliamentarians, including myself, and who has graciously indicated his intention to assist as I acquaint myself with this role, and I say to him, thank you. I would hope to be able to benefit from his years of experience. I intend to advance the Youth Parliament on this island, a cause for which I share his passion, and will collaborate with him to ensure it continues to grow and improve. Now, with these few words, I thank you all for your attention and bid you a pleasant afternoon. May the Almighty God guide us today and always as we work together for the advancement of this island we love. The question put before the court was for the adjournment. You see, I have given it away. I am an attorney by profession, so let us do that again. The question is for this honorable House to be adjourned. Those in favor? My apologies. So we'll have the question put.
Madam President, I beg to move a motion that this honorable House be adjourned sine die.
Madam President, I wish to second that motion.
Thank you. The question is that this honorable House be adjourned sine die. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. I wish you all a pleasant afternoon. This House is adjourned.